What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Creative Res Podcast. If you are new here, so glad you're here. This is all about how you can grow your business as a photographer, or filmmaker, graphic designer, web developer, whatever you are as a service-based creative professional. This episode is going to help you do it. Today, we got Jarod from Union Creative, all the way from Canada on the podcast. The dude has built an amazing business in the real estate space, and then recently has started to acquire more clients in the brand and commercial space as well. And on this episode, he shares with you all the things he has learned about how to actually scale a real estate business to multiple six figures, all the systems you're going to need, and then everything he's learning about not just living in a referral network system, which is often what real estate is, and learning how to pitch, learning how to grow that side of his business, how to actually shape a retainer, how to sell a retainer. And one of my other favorite things we talked about was how he's actually starting to look at other creatives not as competition, but as people to join and lock arms with, as people that are actually on his team. So there's so much packed into this episode. Great dude. He's so full of just energy, joy, fun. He's so talented at what he does, but most importantly, he's got a lot of great stuff to share. So here is Jarod from Union Creative, episode 180 of the podcast. Hope you enjoy it. Listen all the way through to the end because it just keeps getting better and better and better. Here's my episode with Jarod. All right, Jarod, welcome to the podcast, man. We were just joking about how to say your last name because I'm horrible at names. Jarod Bleijerveld, welcome to the show, brother. How you doing today?
Not too bad, not too bad. I'm impressed you got the last name right, but yeah, under pressure you got it.
You just had to tell me like 4 times, so I would have hoped I got it right because that would have been brutal if I couldn't have gotten it right. You would think if you're listening to the show that I don't know how to say his last name, that we've never met before. We've definitely met before. We've had an awesome last couple, what has it been, like couple months of knowing each other?
Yeah.
When was that? Was that like January? Must have been January when we met. Something like that.
Yeah, it must have been.
Yeah, which has been so cool. So, quick little spoiler before we get into some stuff. Jarod, you were in round 11 of the mastermind. It's been awesome getting to know you. Awesome getting to see your business grow. And that's why we got you on the show today to talk about the things that you've been doing really well, even prior to, being in the Creative Rise ecosystem, and the things that you've been learning and continuing to double down on and do well since, becoming a friend of Creative Rise, which is cool. So, Jarod, rapid fire real quick. What is your name? I already said your name. Why don't you say your last name just beautifully for everybody who does not know how to pronounce it like me? What's your name, where you're from, and then if you're stuck in an elevator and somebody says, what do you do for a living? What do you tell?
All right, so my name is Jarod Bleijerveld. The IJ is like a Y. Sorry.
Where are you from?
Sorry, so it was Jarod Bleijerveld. I'm from Southern Ontario in St. Catharines, nice little spot. And I am a photo and video guy. That I say that generally because I do a bit of real estate, do a bit of corporate work, and some weddings as well. So that's my go-to.
So classic Canadian. I do a little bit of real estate. Jarod, show me your calendar for everybody who's watching. If you're okay with that, would you pull up your calendar?
Yeah.
Flash it on the screen for a second because he showed me prior to us starting. You don't do a little bit of real estate. That is probably the most packed shoot calendar I have ever seen in my life. You do a lot of real estate, a lot of video, a lot of photo. You run Union Creative, which is super cool. And how long have you been doing that for? When did you start that?
So Union Creative itself was started in 2019, and that was after I quit my full-time job at the time. But I've been doing photo and video full-time since 5 or 6 months out of high school, which was, I started January 2017 full-time. So
yeah, I love it. We have such similar stories with like straight out of high school, like, nope, I'm not doing anything else.
Yeah.
Let's dial this in. I love it. And then let's humanize you for a second because some of the things we're going to talk about that you've done are really cool. But Jarod, you've been doing it for long enough. What's a flop you've had? You've got to have a really good one.
Ooh.
Give me a flop.
I had a wedding last summer that they had asked me before. They had been practicing their first dance, had this whole routine set out, and they wanted like a whole recording of it. Well, my like B camera was just a tight shot, and I hadn't hit record on that. And I recorded their whole first dance, but of course I was trying to get different angles, so I was moving. And I sent out the email, and then I got a response right back asking like, hey, did you we asked for that recording of the first dance. And I just like heart sinks. I'm like, oh
Oh,
no. But I clawed it back big time. I was like, I can't do anything about it, but this is something I could do that might help. So I asked the bride right away. I was like, hey, I know your friends were standing there recording this with their phone. Can they send them to me and I'll like mix it together like a multicam, a little bit more unique? Ended up doing that and she loved it. Like, was super happy with how it came out. And yeah, so biggest flop, and I recovered it a bit.
hey,
So yeah,
good save. Good save. I like
yeah,
that. Okay.
yeah,
So we could talk about even just how to create a good save because that's a great topic. But we've got so many other things that I would love to talk about. I don't know if we're
yeah,
going to get to all this, but I would love to talk about how you've scaled your real estate business because it's super impressive. Where that has now taken you with the systems you've had to build, and you've actually started to transition into doing a lot more brand work and some other stuff. There's so many things we could talk about underneath that umbrella. But before we do, just give us a little bit more of an update on your business, just so people have got context. Like, where are you at? Like, broad revenue wise, like how big
uh-huh.
is your business? How much has it grown maybe in the last 2 years? What are you looking to do this year? And then what are some of the services you said you do, video, photo stuff. You're kind of the video and photo guy. You do real estate and some brand
Yep.
stuff, but give us a little bit more insight into what does that actually look like? Like, what are some of the things you do underneath the umbrella of, yeah, this is my business?
Yeah. So Union Creative, I originally had it a different name because I planned on really scaling it to more than me. And that I kind of decided not to when I realized I'm more of just the creative and the person. I like being the one talking to my clients.
Mm.
And I don't think I'm one of the best managers of a business like that. So,
Hmm.
but what I've been doing from the beginning is my first job in this space was doing real estate videos. So that was kind of my base for it. My second job I got was at a real estate brokerage, and that kind of I met enough people and made some connections and moved on to doing it myself with that. In that time, I had met with like person who ran the division at an agency, a Canada-wide agency here, that I then gave them like packages and everything that I offered video to their clients that they did advertising and everything too. They'd add on video packages from me. So I still work with them a little bit. And then some weddings as well in there. So a lot of referral from real estate agents and brokerages, and working with an agency that I do a lot of more like government type style videos,
Um,
really large businesses, and then some weddings. So that's kind of been what I all cover. And it has been like really successful, but it's really chaotic because I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off. As the video watchers could see, like my calendar, it's 4 or 5 things a day, most days.
like 4 or 5
The
shoots,
money,
not just things
yeah,
like
sorry.
shoots, like locations. I gotta show up and shoot. Do I have batteries? Do I have clear cards? Like,
Yeah,
oh yeah,
yeah. And so that like it I love the chaos. I think I thrive in it. Obviously, I still wouldn't be able to be doing this 5 years on from when I started. The money is great. Lifestyle probably past like what I should be to really like settle down and not work so much.
Hmm.
There's things I gotta some work some things out, but I definitely think I could do it. I'm young and I got the energy. Why not
yeah,
go? Yeah, like rough number, I'm bringing in right around 200 a year.
yeah. So
Um,
multi six
and
figures,
that's
which is awesome.
before, yeah, yeah, and that's before expenses and everything.
Yeah, business revenue. Yep,
Paying photo editors, yeah.
yep,
And
totally.
I made a video on my Instagram about breaking down of how many how many subscriptions and everything and how much it all costs, including an accountant. And it's like, whoa, that adds up quick.
Yeah,
Expenses every month, whether I'm bringing money in or not. Yeah,
yeah, totally. All right, so you've got a lot going on: real estate,
yeah.
some weddings here and there, getting into some brand stuff. doing multiple six figures, which is awesome. And then you also just said, hey, I'm looking to kind of de-chaotic this thing. I don't even know if that's a word, de-chaotic, but on looking into your business, I actually think you're doing a great job of that, because I don't think a lot of people can get to the point you're at where you're doing multiple six figures, specifically where a lot of your revenue is from real estate, which is a chaotic model to be in, because it's so, hey, property here, property there, I need you tomorrow. You've got to probably have some pretty good systems. And this is a thing that I think that creatives struggle with the most when it comes to scaling their businesses. They don't systematize stuff. They don't create systems. So, Jarod, why don't you give us a little bit of insight into what was your life like prior to creating systems? What's it like now? And then let's talk a little bit about what are some of the systems you've actually implemented in order to run a successful multi-six-figure agency business where you're shooting 4 to 5 shoots a day sometimes. How do you manage all that? What was the life before that, before you get the systems in place? And then what's it like now?
Yeah. So before systems in this, I mean, I thankfully had in a previous job started to implement some systems. So when I left on my own, I already had a base of I knew this is what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So before that, especially with real estate and realtors, how it usually works is call on the phone, hey, I've got a property, when can I get it done?
Mm-hmm.
We pick up the phone and go, hey, we have this day, and this day open. Realtor goes back, I'm free those days, but the homeowner is not free those days. Do you have anything else? And it's back and forth.
Yes.
And the first job I was at, we had someone doing that full time. So it's a full-time job, just delegating shoots to different people and figuring it out. Oh, well, now this day we're needed here and here. Can we switch those around? So it's phone calls again to other people. Chaos. So when I left that job and went elsewhere, I knew right away there's got to be an easier way to this. You know, even then, so many people book things online. You want to get your hair cut, you could go on the website, click the time that's available, fill out your information, done. So there had to be a system like that I could use. It's not perfect, but what I use is Calendly, which is usually just for online meetings, really, or in-person meetings. But there's a way that you can fill in, you ask the guest where they would like it to be. So I was like, I'll just put the home address in there, and it shows all my available times. So I rolled that out, and that was the first step to it. So I would get emails, and I would check Calendly of, you know, the realtor goes on the website that links to Calendly, goes through, fills out all their information. Oh, information about the house. Oh, it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 2,500 square feet, and we'll be there for 2 hours shooting. And right away getting phone numbers, email, everything I would need. So that was the first step I took to doing that. Then the problem was, okay, I'm dealing with now all the addresses for the houses. That's how I track how I track them all. I then have a Post-it note on the wall above my screen with all the different addresses of the houses, and it was like shot that I need to edit, done editing that they need to pay, and like done. But then I keep all of them because I have a client that I bill once a month. So I have to keep this stack of chaos. It's not organized. It's Post-it notes. You know, the wind, you keep the window open and the wind blows and here you go. So I knew there was something I could do about that. So I needed the integration that it does it automatically. It's a bit of a workaround, but I use Monday.com where when I get a booking, I get a notification through Monday.com and my email that says, hey, this person booked, and then here's all the info. And the reason I wanted something like that was I can just drag, like, it was like digital Post-it notes.
Yeah,
I
like
can
the
drag
little
this
tiles,
project
you can just
in
drag
this
them
step.
around. Yep.
Yeah, which was an awesome way to do it. And then, so I don't have any billing automations or anything yet. And that's because half of my real estate is I just send individual invoices, and probably half of it is with like a partnership I have with a brokerage that I save all these people's bookings into like a folder on Monday.com. And then at the end of the month, I go through and I have all their info and
bill 'em.
send one long invoice.
Yeah.
So that's been some of the steps I've taken with that. And Monday.com, I have a different board with all the shoots from the agency I work with, all the shoots on there, all the documents I have linked in there, Google Docs for all the meetings. So it's live anywhere I go, all the scripts.
Yeah.
And then my weddings are in there as well.
Gotcha. So, Jarod, I think this is amazing. It's so good because as much as you're like, it's a system that works, but it's not perfected yet, and I would love it to be better.
Yeah.
It's so much further along than what most creatives do. So here's my question, because I think what a lot of people are thinking when they hear you talk about this, they go, well, Jarod, that sounds amazing for you. That probably cost you a ton of money. You probably had to learn how to do that for a couple of years. Like, do you need a business degree from a university to figure that stuff out? Like, so real quick, a couple rapid fire questions. Did you have to go to university to learn how to do that?
No.
No.
I
You built it. Yeah. You
quick
just
and
figured
easy
it
answer.
out. Exactly.
I started doing this right out of high school.
Exactly. So you built it yourself. By the way, Jarod and I both have systems like this that we both use for our own content stuff. So neither of us went to university. So if you did go to university, you listen to this, you're probably smarter than the two of us. So if we can do it, you can do it. Now, second question, how much do you think this costs you on average per month to run all these softwares?
I mean, for Calendly, I think it's like $120 Canadian for the year.
For the year. Yeah. So like $10 a month.
Yeah. I know I have like the step up because I have like each real estate booking package is a different like time slot and how much time it takes up. So I have like 8 different items. So I needed like the upgraded plan. The most expensive is Monday.com, which is, I think they break it down odd, but it's $20 a seat, but you have to have 3 seats. So it's $60 a month. And then you just, build that throughout the year. So I think that's around 500 Canadian.
Yeah. So under $1,000 easily.
Oh, yeah.
For the year.
Yeah.
You have your entire system that manages not just your content of like, hey, what project am I on right now? Who do I need to be editing? Who do I need to be billing? Which is your project management. It doesn't just do that. You're actually taking all of your lead generation and your sales and running it through a scheduler, which for you is incredible for under $1,000 a year.
Yeah.
Which is incredible. Now, Jarod, how long do you think it took you to learn how to build this and kind of master it? I know it's an ever evolving system that you're building out, but for the person that's like, Jarod, that sounds complex, I'm not that good at stuff like that. Like, what would you say to them?
YouTube is a great resource, and there is a lot of different opinions and ways to do things on YouTube. And I don't know how to use Monday.com. Watch a video about how a video production company uses Monday.com. And I spent initially, I could have probably set up the system in a day. I split it up between days because it was in between evenings of shoots and stuff like that. But about that, and it's like you said, it's ongoing. I went in yesterday to Calendly to update how long something takes, and I'm going to update how often like it shows available time. So it's as things go on, I do it for a couple months. This isn't quite working. Let's make this appointment 15 minutes longer to do photos for a home. So it never ends, but you can always change it, which is a great thing.
Beautiful. And the other encouragement for people that are listening going, I want what Jarod has for my business. Maybe it's real estate, maybe it's brand, maybe it's just weddings. Whatever industry you're in, you should have some type of project management software to keep you on track. And even better, if you're in an industry where you're doing a lot of shoots, like your quantity is really high, you should have some type of scheduler like Jarod has with Calendly. The other thing you can do is you can actually hire a professional to build it for you. I have hired a professional, I don't even know where she's from. I think she's from the Philippines, and she built out our entire system to manage all of the Creative Rise content. So every single piece of content that's going to come from this podcast, anything that's ever come out of the podcast before, or just us at Creative Rise, has always gone through our content management system. We call it our CMS that we built on ClickUp. It's very similar to Monday.com. And I had no idea how to use ClickUp, so I went on Fiverr for like $60. I hired a ClickUp specialist. She got on a Zoom call with me. I said, hey, here's the outcomes I'm wanting. Here's what our team needs. And she said, great, I'll give you a couple different, kind of flow examples. Which one do you think you like better? And then she built it in like a day and a half for like $60 and gave it over to me. And then I've had ongoing, support with her if something breaks and I can't fix it myself. I can go back to her. But guys, there's options for this stuff. If you don't know how to build it yourself, Jarod said YouTube, great idea if you're a self-starter. But if you're someone who's either really busy or you just can't figure it out or it's too stressful, hire a professional. Fiverr, Upwork, anything like that. You can find these people that are incredible at building out these software systems and they can do it for you. So quick little tip, do what Jarod's doing. And a bonus tip, if you need help, actually hire somebody on Fiverr or Upwork because they can really, really help you build out these systems. So, all right, Jarod, that's amazing. Talk to me about referrals because you have built, theoretically, when we met in January, one of the reasons why you joined the mastermind is you were like, hey, I want to learn how to kind of go out and eat what I kill. Like I want to get out and get a little bit better at like pitching and like getting more work myself rather than relying on a really strong, but a referral network. And a referral network is not bad. I actually really love referral networks. But if you only are, growing your business at the tune of your referrals, it can feel a little bit disempowering when you don't feel like you can go out and get your own business, right? So you came and you were like, hey, I'm really strong over here. I want to grow over here. So let's talk about the strength side first, and then we'll talk about what you've learned about going out and pitching and some of the other stuff. But talk to me about your referral network that's, obviously created a multi-six-figure real estate business. How do you encourage referrals inside of your client base? And, what does that actually look like? Is it a client interaction where you ask for it? Like, talk to me, teach me what you know about referrals because it's obviously worked really well for you.
So I guess like when it breaks down to it, almost everything I have up to this point in business and where I've gotten to has been from like someone I knew. Like I can break it down to where I was when someone recommended me to the business of the first job I got, which has created this insane snowball and has gotten to me to this point. The people I've met, everything. And even how I came across Creative Rise was a friend of ours like, hey, this guy lives up north up here and he does this stuff. And I started following you back then. And then it then snowballs into, I see what Creative Rise is doing a couple of years on. And I finally decide to dive in. But my first job that was someone I went to high school with said, hey, look at this company. They're doing like cool real estate videos. And I was like, whoa, that's cool. I make videos of my friends longboarding. I wonder if I could do it. Got a job with them.
That's where we all started, by the way. Those OG longboard videos.
Anyway, yeah, that's get the craft, just doing it for fun. That was the best time. Moving on to then, like, that's when I shot my first wedding, stuff like that. But then one of the brokerages I worked with at that company, then they were looking to hire 2 people in-house. So we got approached that, hey, do you want to come in-house work here? Yep. Okay. Get hired on there. There for only a year and a half. But the connection and how I worked there, they then wanted, even when I quit and said, I want to do this on my own, I owe a lot of things to the business owner who I still work with to this day, because I could do it in confidence when I made such a good impression that he said, if it doesn't work out, we'll always have a spot for you here.
Great.
And it was like the confidence to do that. And 5 years on of me being on my own, that is still one of the cornerstones of my business is working with that real estate brokerage. So working there, the person I worked with there, he worked at that video agency. And when I left here, do some videos for them, they liked me. They continue to use me. And even the people I met from there, and now the original people I knew left, but I made a good impression with the people that still run that division. I'm still ongoing to do work. So it's all from a conversation down by the lake with some friends that I didn't like hang out with that much has been this insane snowball. So it's my biggest like piece of advice would be like word of mouth is the best advertising ever. It's easy. And if you do good work, and especially in the creative industry, are a good person and treat people well, it is a service and it is a people service. People will talk about you to others, and
Yeah.
it will end up snowballing.
Yeah, I love that. Treat people well, deliver on time, be kind,
Yes.
show up on time, and you be a good person, you will get referred. That's so, so true. And it has built
Yeah.
you a beautiful referral network, especially in the real estate space. The other thing I heard that I
Yeah.
want to mention there, which I think is really cool, is that you kind of just gave us the little journey of where little Jarod was to now, Jarod running this thing right here. And the theme I
Yeah.
hear is you just constantly looked for opportunities to maximize where you were. So when you were at the brokerage,
Yeah.
you were like, okay, I'm at the brokerage. This might not maybe be what I want to do for the next 50 years, but what can I do to maximize this experience, maximize these relationships? And I don't say maximize as a like, what can I get out of everybody thing. I say maximize as like, it sounded like you were like, hey, how can I just give a ton of value to the people I'm around? And so much so that when you left and went on your own, they were like, hey, we'll always have a spot here for you. That's a beautiful testament to how well you were able to give value to people, not only just as a kind human, but also as a workforce. Like you're able to really deliver value to the people you touch. So if you're a creative and you're going, man, people aren't referring me, one thing to audit yourself on is, well, how much value am I really leaving? Like, what's my value trail? Like everywhere I walk, I want to have a trail of value behind me. I want to be dropping little cookies of value, and people want to just continue to follow them and continue to do business with me, right? And then also invite other people onto my little cookie trail of value. That's one of the worst analogies I've probably ever given, but I hope it makes sense to people listening. But the cookie trail of value, guys, is how you get referrals. But that's beautiful, and that's a really, really good answer. I love that you said that. Okay, so let's now talk about the opposite side of referrals. The opposite side of referrals is going out and, again, eating what you kill, going after work, pitching, creating proposals, all this stuff. And when you first came into the mastermind, why don't you actually talk about that for a second? I've kind of put some words in your mouth, but let's talk about pitching and all that stuff. But before we get there, why did you join round 11 of the Creative Rise Mastermind?
There's two big reasons for it. The one is the other people that are also in the mastermind. The way I kind of started in this, which I know we have talked about, that it felt very like other creatives are competition. That's the first job I was in. It was always like other people are competition, other people in this, like with cameras. And it's been slowly trying to like teach myself and put myself out there to talk to other creatives, and the community aspect of Creative Rise and the mastermind was amazing. Like that was such a huge thing for me. And I knew that would be like the first step I needed to continue that on. And the second part of why I joined the mastermind was I felt like I was stuck in the real estate bubble, and it wasn't very creatively fulfilling. And I knew I had the skills to be able to offer different services to businesses. And I think that's where I really wanted to see results, not just a home sale for someone else.
Yeah.
And so I knew I wanted to make ads and work together with businesses to help them grow. And I didn't know how, because my business is all referral. And if I needed to go out and sell myself, if it wasn't someone recommending me, I have no idea what to do. Like I had been in like planning meetings, but selling myself, here's the deliverables. Like that was kind of how I approached it. And I needed to be given like the tools to be able to then go out and use them and get more business elsewhere. So yeah.
Love it. So let's talk about that then. What did you learn about going and getting more business elsewhere and having to go fight for the opportunity to do work for people, pitch people, give them proposals? What are some of the things you learned that you think have been impactful in helping you actually grow a business? I mean, you've got retainers now, which is amazing. You've got
Yep.
monthly income coming from brands and businesses who are going, Jared, we love what you're doing. Can you do that for us monthly? You've built a retainer network. You've got a referral network on the real estate side, a retainer network now on the brand and commercial side. What have you learned about actually creating offers over there, pitching, like just that whole world? Because it's very different than the real estate, very cookie cutter offer. It's the same every time,
Yeah.
right? It's very different. Talk to me about that.
So I think most people that that might not know how to really sell creative aspect, like photo, video, all that, it's usually you get X amount of minutes video and you get some photos and that's it. Like, pay me. And it's so much different than that. There's the biggest thing too, which I took from the mastermind, was like sales is always thought to be sleazy, but it's not. Like,
Yeah, no.
sales should be like, I'm wanting to help you, and if we do this right, it can do great things for both of us.
Yes.
And it's how to talk like that as well and actually deliver on that. But the things I really took away was, one, how to build the packages and create those, which I know we had kind of talked about in one of the talks. But then there's also, when you are pitching yourself, it's not like, I am X business and I have worked with this cool company, and this cool company. You need me. It's the different approach angle of, not even angle, like change the whole approach to, you have this problem, and if we do something like this is one how I can help, and this is what it'll end up looking like. Could
Yeah.
you imagine that for both of us? And people are, first of all, way more accepting to hear that, and two, it's just like it works.
Yeah,
A
totally.
lot better than you need me. Like,
Yes.
it's not stooping down to someone's level, but getting, like, approach the brand knowing or trying to figure out what their problems are and solutions to those problems.
Yeah. That's what I will write a book on one day, as you could probably assume. It's like the problem solving world. When you learn how to identify as a problem solver and you put on the, quite literal, like the glasses of problem solving, the world also looks different, because it changes from, oh, I'm insecure as a creative, therefore I need to go tell people they need me. It changes from that to, no, I'm just a problem solver and I actually have empathy for the problems this business is living in, and I want to create a solution for it. And then you can bring those to the table, and it's a way better feeling. And as you said, not only feels better, the sales process not only feels better, but as you just said, it actually works. You actually get deals, right? So why don't you talk to me about what has that felt like? Because here's the thing. The thing about a referral network is you can hide behind it. Again, I'm a big fan of referral networks, but you can hide behind a referral network. When you are going out and pitching, you're like, yeah, that's me. When you're going out and pitching, you're putting your neck on the line, right? Like you are putting yourself out there for rejection. Talk to me about, what does rejection look like for you? How have you navigated that? How do you navigate the fear and the potential rejection of having to put yourself out there in the world of problem solving?
Like, I come back to think about, even when you're creating content for yourself or other people, if you're trying to please everybody, you're pleasing nobody. So when I have to remind myself of that when, I send a DM to a company and they like the message and don't answer. It's if, like, not everybody is going to say yes. And if everybody does say yes, there's something wrong. Like, especially when it gets to prices and stuff, you're like too cheap then.
Yes.
But that's part of life, which is, I'm very like middle of the road that way, where, you know what, I'm not going to please everybody, and not everybody is going to be appreciating the offer that I might have for them. And that is not my problem. That if they don't want to hear about it, they don't want to hear about it. There will be time to spend on a business that will appreciate you and what you're delivering.
Yep.
So
More fish in the sea.
don't waste your time chasing somebody that doesn't want to pay a lot or is annoying to work with. There will be someone that will like working with you for you and pay good money, and everybody's happy. So that, I guess, would be my biggest advice to someone like that. Is I'm still getting used to seeing the scene and not getting anything back.
Yeah.
But I'm like pumping myself up as I'm talking about this, that it's like, that's not a me thing. It's okay. This is part of
the game.
This is every day for a lot of people.
Yep.
Maybe they already have someone. They just haven't posted anything yet. You don't know. Like,
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So, Jarod, that's so great. I mean, even this past week, we just did the last episode of this podcast is on how to respond when you get a no, or even if you get a ghost. You don't even get a no. A no is generous.
Yep.
That's what we have to start telling ourselves too. Even getting a response that says no, that's even a generous thing from a pitch, because they should just probably ghost you if they're not interested. But even this last week, man, we even find that in ourselves. I've been actively pitching for a decade now. It's 2024. I started early 2020, early 2014 is when I started pitching. When I started my first business, my creative agency, and gosh, like even a decade later, if you're not careful and you're not watching yourself and reminding yourself of what you just said, it's easy to still get discouraged. It happened last week to us. We formulated this pitch we were really excited about, and it didn't go through. And it's like, well, I can either be discouraged about this and it will stop me from growing my business for the next 3 weeks until I figure my crap out and find my hope again, or I can just realize this is part of the game, right? So I got to realize this is part of the game. If you're listening to this and you're like, I've pitched 3 times. That's my favorite thing when creatives say, well, I don't know about it. The brand industry is just too hard or doesn't work or whatever. And I say, well, tell me about it. And they're like, well, yeah, I pitched a couple brands like back in 2021, and all 3 of them said no. 2 of them ghosted me and 1 said no. I'm like, great. So how many more have you pitched? They're like, oh, that was it. I'm like, well, that's your problem. Like, you've got to get your numbers up, right? Like, do not let the discouragement of a no stop you from your future yes. I mean, listen to last week's podcast if you haven't heard it yet, folks that are listening. But yeah, that's great, man. That's so good. All right, so talk to me. Okay, go ahead.
No, just a quick, like, what I always like to do with any situation is put myself in their shoes.
Yes.
We have probably all gotten a message or an email about, hey, let me do your content or let me do your SEO. That's a classic one.
Yeah.
Like, we've all been receiving those emails and we're like, why would they send something like this? That doesn't work. Or something along those lines. There is a million people doing it, and it's not everybody's going to say yes. It's like, that's where I'm big on being personal about it. And that's, I know, part of the reaching out, that is an aspect of it. But yeah, don't get too caught up in something that, like, most people just see a DM and about that, and they're just like, no, we don't need it. So that's 100%. Just part of it.
100%. Okay, talk to me about other creators were competition and now they're not. You said that earlier in the podcast. Yep. That is a fundamental switch in your head as a creative business owner that a lot of creatives probably would struggle to say they can make. How have you been able to make that switch? Like, what allowed you to make the switch for, wait a second, these guys aren't my competition. They're actually on my team. And if we all can help each other, we all win. And we're all going to do better than if we all fight against each other and we battle against each other and we see each other as competition. How did you make that switch? Talk to me about it.
So part of it was, first of all, just following all the creatives I could find in my area. I knew a whole bunch of them by name. And the first step to it was, hey, you want to get coffee and just talk shop. Whether it's talk about cameras or talk about how business is going and talk about how things have been just in general. And that was, I'm someone that I don't talk to people unless I really have to. You'd think with how many homeowners and realtors I have to, like, have small talk with every day.
Yes.
But if you ask me to go up to a random person in Starbucks, I'm like, no, unless I really have to.
Yes.
And I just, when I'm in that good mood, I'm like, okay, I'm going to message this person, be like, hey, you want to meet up for coffee? We're both doing the same thing. Let's chat about it.
Right.
And I met with like 3 or 4 in a matter of 2 weeks. And one was even someone that I had done work for a client and then not talked to them for a while. And then they posted a video made by this person.
Yeah.
Reach out to that person. And I was like, hey, you want to meet? Like, we both do the same thing. Talk about it. And we hang out whenever he's home. And we go golfing. We message each other about, like, he shoots weddings, I shoot weddings. We've talked about it a bunch. We trade work. So he came and shot behind the scenes for me, like, for a full day on a spec project that I did. So now in exchange, I'm going to shoot behind the scenes for him all day for something.
Yeah.
And it's just, I'm thinking he's out to get me or something. And he has no idea who I am at the beginning. He didn't know that someone else did their videos.
Yeah.
And half the time it's not even on purpose. And you guys, like, it's someone else to talk about, I'm having an issue with this. What's your opinion on how we can change that? And other people, even in the real estate space, it's aggressive here in my area. So I just started to meet up with the different ones. And there's one that he's gone on vacation. Hey, can you shoot a house for me? Yeah. And there's no bad blood. So when the client then comes to me and goes, oh, you shoot videos, can we get your card? I'm like, no, I don't want to do that to him.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, this guy's great. Stay with him.
Life is so much better that way.
Yes.
It's you don't have enemies. You don't have to watch your back. You're not constantly waiting for, how is this person going to stab me in the back? It's no, we have a relationship and we talk about it, and there's a trust between us that there's enough work for all of us. Plenty.
Yeah.
And why start burning bridges with people and making, like, awkward situations when we could all help each other out and all be happier doing it?
100%. Proximity creates empathy, right? And when we distance ourselves, that's a good one, isn't it? I didn't come up with that. A friend of mine always says that. But shout out Jason Kane. But when we distance ourselves from people, whether it's in a work environment, this is going to get deep, but whether it's in a cultural environment, whether it's in a religious environment, whether it's in a racial environment, what if you distance yourself from people, you create competition, or you create something, swap that word out. But when we bring the proximity towards people closer and closer and closer, and you start standing shoulder to shoulder with people in a coffee shop, on the golf course, you're gonna develop a natural empathy for them, and you're gonna build a beautiful relationship with them, which is so cool. So I totally agree with you. Okay, you said that was the first thing. What's the second thing?
Oh, I forget.
You said two things. You said the first one was I started going to coffee. The question was, what's helped you view other creators not as competition, but as a team?
I can't remember what the second one was.
Cool. We'll move on.
I got so into the.
Hey, that was good. That was a great little run you had there. Okay, so we'll wrap with this then. Talk to me about your experience in the mastermind, and talk to me about the ROI for you. Was it worth it? Was it not? Yeah. Let's talk about why something like this is potentially beneficial for a business like yours.
I mean, the first thing this was the first ever piece of, like, education content in this space that I've ever spent money on. So it was a one way to do it. Like, it's a 6 weeks. It's a long commitment, and it was going into my busy season. But it was everything that Creative Rise had been talking about was what I needed. It wasn't like, this is how you should deliver photos and this is how you should do that. It's covering a wide range of creatives, which was great because I knew it would be very applicable to a lot of people, and I knew that would be transferable to myself. And the return on investment, just for me, it was, I want to know how to do sales and have these meetings and approach businesses better. And from that point on, I know how to handle the business, the actual creative part. And it was not only giving those tools, it's the accountability with the other people in the group. You
Yeah.
know, with the breakout rooms, we would have conversations with people, and they're messaging me the next, like later that week. Hey, did you do what you said you were gonna do? And it's like, nope. But then it's like I'm being held accountable to continue to do these things that I
Everybody
said.
go bug Jarod. He said he was going to do it. He hasn't done it yet. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. It's helpful.
And I approached, one of the first things you had talked about was we all have people that we know that probably just don't know what we do. And that's how I got that first retainer was, oh, it's someone I know that I had a conversation about content with. I'm going to go back to them and bug them once a week. And it was good timing, but I was speaking the language that they needed, and I was offering a service that they were already looking for, and it was just a good match. But there's always other like people that you can approach and talk
Totally,
to,
yeah.
and they might mention it to someone else. But some of the things that I took away, were the sales. It was the confidence it gave me as well. I felt very, nobody, like, that's a lot of money for, 6 videos or whatever it is that you're offering. But when you break it down to, but if they get one new client from this, that pays for it. So if you can do that once a month, you're paying for your service. That's a pretty easy breakdown. And it's just giving, in that community, in the mastermind, gave a lot of confidence to myself to be able to put my neck out there and know I can do this.
Yeah.
And people will appreciate it.
Yeah. You're describing your value, right? Like you're just saying, no, it might be quite a bit of money for this brand video. It might be $7,000. I know you just got to set, you rung the bell the other day in our community group. Yeah. It's like, new gig, just got a $7,000 deal for this.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, bro, that's epic. Well, that's a lot of money. But Jared's like, oh, well, let me show you how this is actually going to make you guys money, drive your impact further, how it's going to do all these things for you guys as a business, right? You've grown in confidence and you learned how to speak the language and play the game of business, right? Which is what so many creatives struggle to do. That's exactly what we aim to do in the mastermind. Dude, so glad you had that experience. So cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing so much on the podcast. This was 47 minutes of gold. I love it. I love it. This has been so great. Last couple questions here. Number one, where can people find you and connect with you?
Yeah. So on Instagram, it's union.creative.niagara. My website, just unioncreative.co. I'm starting to post a lot more personal stuff on there. Just, it's me behind the business, not just a company. That's where you can find me. I'm hopefully going to be even more active than I am already on there, but yeah.
Love it. And then last but not least, why is all this worth it? Why is it worth it for you to break the creative struggle in your own business, go after it? For the person who's going, Jarod, I feel like I'm maybe where you were 5 years ago or 3 years ago. What would you say to them about going for it?
I think creatives, there's a lot of people that have talked about it like, oh, they don't think, they make a good living or anything. You can make a great living in the creative world. And you can have fun doing it. Like this, as much as I'm shooting a lot every day, I could be in a lot worse of a situation. Like
100%. Yeah.
It's a great thing to be doing. And the people I get to shoot these videos with and do these photos for, like, I'm providing a service that is helping like realtors sell houses. And if I can make good videos that can get them more clients and sell homes faster, they're going to be way happier and they're going to be way happier working with me.
Yeah.
And it's the relationships I have through all of this. When it's going good, there's like not enough I could do to thank the people I work with and the opportunities that it's given me. I'm like 26 and I bought my own house 3 years ago by myself. And it's hard work, but if you love what you do, then it doesn't really feel like work. And when I'm sitting editing at 10 at night, yeah, I don't mind it. So
Yeah.
it's a great space to be in. It's great people, and yeah, it's something you can do for a long time. So
Love it. Incredible. Well, Jarod, so many things. We talked about referral systems. We talked about building systems so you can transition even just your time. You could have more time to do whatever you want, whether it's get more into brands, shoot more real estate, shoot weddings, sit on your couch in the house you own because you had built a successful business, right? Build systems. We talked about all the referral stuff. We talked about your view on entrepreneurship. Other creatives aren't competitors. They're on your same team. How do you actually, create that relationship with people that you might see as competitors? How do they become friends? So much on this episode, dude. Thanks for being here. You are, as
yeah,
you know,
anytime.
great aspect of the Creative Rise community. So glad you got to be on the pod today and chat about
Yeah.
all this stuff. Thanks for giving value to everybody. It's been so cool
Yeah.
just to continue to chat and watch your business grow over the last
Yeah.
almost 6 months, which has been epic. So, dude, cheers. I know it's just a solo up with me today, but cheers from Christy and the rest of the team here for doing this. It's been
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. And I mean, anyone that wants to reach out, I've even from people in the mastermind, I probably talked to had meetings with 5 or 6 of the people, just online chats, just talk for an hour about the in-person coffees I've had just digitally. I love talking to other creatives. It's really become a passion of mine. And yeah, I just love chatting. So
There you go. Go hit him up on Instagram. Well, Jarod, thanks for being here, brother. It's been great. So that was a phenomenal episode. That had so much good stuff in it. I hope you really enjoyed that. If you did, share it with a friend. We'd love if you do that. Helps the show grow, but more importantly, helps your friend. Helps your friend's business, which is cool. Now, if you heard Jarod talk and you're like, man, everything Jarod talked about the Creative Rise Mastermind sounded really cool. All the things that he learned about how to pitch, how to sell himself, how to really grow in building offers, how to get out of just working in a referral network and learning how to really develop and eat what you kill business model, which is where you go out and sell, you develop offers, market them and sell them, you pitch. All of the things that Jarod talked about. Good news, Jarod was in round 11 of the Creative Rise Mastermind. Round 12 is coming up this fall, which is really exciting. We're thrilled about that. So keep your eyes out for September. That's when we're going to drop the enrollment for the next round of the Creative Rise Mastermind. A little bit of info on that if you're new here. The Creative Rise Mastermind, we started in 2019. It's been innovated ever since over the last 5 years, but it is a 6-week business accelerator teaching you everything you need to know in 6 weeks in order for you to build a 6-figure business foundation, just like Jarod has, and even maybe grow it to the size Jarod's at, where he's doing multiple 6 figures. We've had over 330 people go through this and really learn how to implement, not just learn, but we help you implement the systems that you're learning in order to get yourself on your way to building your first 6-figure business. Or if you're already at 6 figures and you're like Jarod and you're going, I want to just get into a different industry, you've got to learn and rewire the engineering of your business. This is a phenomenal place to do that. So we only take about 30 businesses every time we do this in order for it to be intimate and most importantly, have the attention that your business deserves. If you'd love to do that with this fall, shortcuts you 6 years and 6 weeks. We'd love to see if you'd be a great fit for it. So go to creativerise.com. You can sign up for the waitlist there. And then once the waitlist application drops, you guys will be first to get to know about the application coming to you guys in the fall, probably at the very end of August. And we'll be seeing who is going to jump on in for the next round of round 12, actually, of the Creative Rise 6-week mastermind. But guys, thanks for being here today on the show. Everything you need, the links, where to find Jarod, his website, how to connect with him, the mastermind, creativerise.com, all the mastermind links. Everything is going to be in the description, in the show notes of this podcast. Even better, there's a bunch of free stuff in there too, a bunch of free resources for you, a couple free courses in the description of the show. So go on and check that out. From me, Joey, and Christy, who's not here right now, and the rest of the team here at Creative Rise, thanks for being here. Hope you had a great time listening to this episode. Most importantly, I hope it helped you grow your business this week. And we'll see you next week for another episode of the Creative Rise podcast, where we are helping you break the creative struggle and grow your business to the 6-figure mark and beyond. We'll catch you then.